Welcome back to the On Ramp podcast.
Welcome back.
Hello, Leo.
It's been a while, hasn't it?
It certainly has been a while, mate. Glad you've
I missed the last
decided
few.
to turn up this time because last time you were poorly.
Delegated them
Dawn had to
ones.
step in.
Yeah.
We are joined by another Scottish contingent from whereabouts are you based?
So we're Clydebank, the garage,
Clydebank.
which is just outside of like
You've got
Glasgow.
very typical strong Scottish accent.
Well,
Yes.
you've got a
Going
Scott,
on here
Essex,
as well.
Australia.
Yeah,
twang.
all sorts. We'll get into it because it's all part of the story, isn't it? Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you
This
for having
is
me.
going to be a 10-hour round trip.
Yes, it's going to be a fair bit of time in the car today, but all worth it. I've been looking forward to it.
We are blessed by you guys because you do put the effort in, and it is really appreciated. Now, this is a story of growth, isn't it? You've not been running that long, and you've grown really quickly. So, really want to get into a bit of the story, a bit of the why, a bit of who you are, a bit of where you come from. You are Paul from Elite Land Rover, so Land Rover specialist.
Yep, that's it. So we've started in 2017, JLR specialist. My background's Jaguar Land Rover. I did my apprenticeship in the main dealer, the sort of usual story that seems to be quite common.
How did you do at school?
Terrible.
Just was not bothered, or
Just didn't enjoy it. Yeah, I wasn't very bothered by it. I don't think I didn't enjoy it. The usual sort of story of just it didn't want to be there. Really, I was wanting to be out. We used to have motorbikes on the fields and stuff like that, so we always wanted to be out, just trying to do fixing them or something like that.
were you always
Just having a good time?
hands-on as a kid? Just
Yeah. I was always into that. We used to buy these old stolen and recovered motorbikes and do them up and drive them around on the fields all summer holidays, that sort of stuff. That was the stuff I enjoyed.
so sitting in an RE lesson didn't really do.
I mean, we did that. Like, I had like minis go around fields and roll them every now and then.
Yeah.
Get out and
My life wasn't that exciting, I'm afraid, but I still didn't like school either.
No.
I used to ride a go-kart around the village.
Did you?
So you you don't do particularly well at school. Was it always going into automotive, or did you just stumble into it?
Well, no, I think I always knew. I was lucky. I always knew what I wanted to do. My dad, he was in automotive design, so he wanted me to go down that road and sort of go and follow in sort of his footsteps. But it wasn't ever pushy with it. But I couldn't think of anything worse than sitting in an office all day. So, like I say, I always enjoyed this, being out and fixing these motorbikes. And my best friend's dad had a garage, and we'd go up there, and you always used to think that looked great. That's what I want to do. So I was quite lucky, in fact, that I was very driven at the start with knowing what I wanted to do.
So you was quite intentionally, this is the trade I want to go into.
Yeah,
That's what I want to do.
pretty much always.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. So you did your went straight through dealership sort of training then.
Yeah, so I went straight into the main dealer with, it was like Ford. No, not Ford, sorry. It was Land Rover, Rover, and MG at the time in
Yeah.
the one dealership.
You did a fair bit of K series back then.
The
I guess.
K-Series head gaskets all day long,
Yeah.
every day, yep. Yeah.
It's crazy to think that Land Rover was with MG, doesn't it? And, you know.
Yeah, I mean, even the first Freelander had that K-Series engine.
They
and
were
it just-
so shit as well. They really
Terrible.
were. Terrible
Yeah.
vehicle.
Yeah.
Well, not much
Yeah.
better now than Ingenium, are they?
No, I suppose
no,
no.
it's,
No, not much has improved.
Yeah.
So you do your dealership, typical 3-year apprenticeship?
3-year apprenticeship, but it was a good one. We went to Gaydon at the actual like training academy, so we did 2 weeks of every month, I think, in the first year, and then I think the second year it went down to like 1 week every month, and then third year was like 1 week every other month or something. But it was really good. It was a great apprenticeship for knowing all things Land Rover and that. I think, it was good.
On the Ramp is very proudly sponsored by Castrol and the race group from Certus Energy. Our own business, Lindley's Auto Centres, has been using Castrol products via the race group for at least 10 years. We get our own account manager. They help us set up the oil portfolios across the branches. And there's also someone to ring if we've got any technical queries or general queries. And having that relationship with the account manager, I think, is really important. We get dual branded workwear. So just like what I'm wearing now, we get this free for all members of staff. We get to use the Castrol brand across our entire business. So things like building signage, websites, general marketing, etc. And working with a globally recognized brand like Castrol, I believe, can really elevate your own brand. There's a rewards platform. So for every purchase, we accumulate points that we can redeem against certain items on this reward platform, which is pretty cool. And then there's an integration via our garage management software that allows us to actually see the exact oil product code that should be used in that vehicle, which in today's world and the complexities of oil is actually really helpful. So if you want to learn more about how Castrol can help elevate your business, and you want to learn more about how the race group can help you, then please click on the link in the description below. Thank you. And then you finish your apprenticeship. Do you serve time with that same dealership then? Do you?
Yeah, so I was lucky enough, again, in that dealership, I had a really good service manager that I got on really well with. So we got put in for the sort of diagnostic tech really quickly, and master tech. I was one of the youngest master techs in the UK for Land Rover at one point when I was first starting out. But again, just had the full backing of that service manager.
How old was you then?
I think it was like 22, something like that.
Quite impressive, isn't it?
Yeah.
And did you aspire to kind of be? Did you want to be the guy that could fix them all and diagnose them all? Did that excite you? That
side of it really is what sort of kept me driven, I think. And I always just having that, right, if I can do this, then I can get to that level, and then if I do this, I get to that level. I think that sort of structure in the workplace works really well. It did for me, certainly.
And what kind of inspired you to go through those? Was it to earn more money, or just because you was just passionate about being able to do the job?
I think, just wanting to understand the cars and get to that level for the sort of, that your own sort of personal growth. But obviously the money side of things, that in the dealership, if you get there, you're going to get onto that next wage
next
bracket.
branding.
Yeah.
So what happened? Why does that period come to an end? What happens?
So I'd been to Australia when I finished my apprenticeship. I took a few, I think like 8 weeks. Work gave me 8 weeks off, and I went to Australia traveling. Well, sort of 8-week holiday thing over there, and loved it. And then, so after a few years down the line, then I did a master tech and what have you, and then wanted to go back to Australia. So I went and was like looking for a job over there before I left. I managed to find a Land Rover garage that was employing staff, obviously from the UK specifically, they were looking for. So applied, got the job, and then they paid for us to go over to Australia and ship your tools over and all that sort of stuff.
That was quite exciting time then, wasn't it?
No, it was brilliant.
How old was you then?
So I was like about 26, I think.
Were you worried about leaving friends and family behind, or were you just free-spirited then and just...
I just thought that was it. I thought Australia was the dream. I'd loved it before, and I thought, right, that's me. That's where I want to be. That's where I want to go.
What is it about it that you loved?
Probably a bit of sunshine.
Yeah, I think it's that whole sort of...
That's how I always ended up in Scotland.
Exactly. It couldn't be any more ironic. I think it is just that dream, isn't it? That you think it's all about nice weather and what have you. Maybe not understanding what's as important as family and friends and stuff like that. I think it's something that you do realise when you are away from them.
So did you move it with like a bit of a party sort of hat on as well, where you're out there, you're out every weekend, sort of living that life whilst trying to hold down a career as well?
That's exactly it. You were living like a backpacker. I'd rented a room. I had a couple of other friends over there as well that were actually like my brother's friends that were living over there. So met up with them when I first went over, renting a room, but you're out almost every night, let's say, living like a backpacker, but then having to get up in the morning and go to work.
Yeah.
It isn't the same.
Was the pay good?
The pay was good in terms of if you looked at it compared to what you earn over here, but then when you weigh it up against like the cost of living,
it's a lot higher, isn't it?
It's so much higher. So you actually don't really end up any better off.
Yeah. So that obviously comes to an end.
Yes.
For some reason.
Yeah. So I met my now wife over there, and she had some visa issues, should we say. She got basically kicked out the country and banned for 10 years.
Where was she from?
She was from Scotland, so we live now.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So,
she's been there for how long?
So she was born there. So,
oh, wow.
Yeah, so born in Scotland.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah,
I was saying, kicked out when she got born.
No. Yeah, that's it. Yes, no, she was born there, born in Scotland. She'd been in Australia for about, I think, maybe a year and a half or something like that.
Right, yeah.
Yeah.
So you had a choice to make then?
Yes.
Either
Yeah.
follow or stay.
That's it. Exactly. I think
Oh, but that must have been quite a difficult, or was it just a no-brainer?
I'd been there for a little while at that point and had started to feel the pull from home again, you know,
Like a
that
bit
sort of thing.
homesick,
Yeah,
sort of.
that's it. And I also sort of thought that if I stay here living this way, you're not actually getting any further forward.
Not building any sort of
No,
wealth or-
you're basically living hand to mouth. You're getting paid, you're spending it all, going out and what have you, and then you're not actually getting any further forward, is how I felt.
How was the actual business and the work in it? How is it? Is it different from the UK? Working in a garage over there, like
well, it was a really big garage, so I think
is
it
it
had
dealership?
dealership. Yeah, so in the dealership, we had Volvo, Jaguar, Land Rover, Lotus, Bentley, and Peugeot in there. It had
Just throw Peugeot in with the Bentleys and the
60 ramps in the one workshop.
wow.
Wow,
It's massive.
How many? Like, what's the setup there?
It was
workshop controllers or advisors or like what?
Yeah, so you had like a workshop controller for each brand, but you literally, I mean, you were just a complete number in there. You know.
So you were a tech for a particular brand.
Yes,
Right.
I was a Land Rover tech.
So you had like a Land Rover team
Yeah.
within a big workshop.
Yeah, it was all separate. You know, there's separate showrooms and all that sort of stuff all
Separate
down the
parts
front.
departments. And
Yeah.
Big old place then.
It was massive. It was like 2 stories. The workshop. You know, it was like a downstairs, and you could drive up a ramp up to the upstairs bit and stuff. It was really big.
And did you ever get a different brand, or was it only just Land Rover you did?
No, only just Land Rover.
Yeah.
Yeah, there was enough of that stuff coming
Yeah.
in. I think there was maybe 7 Land Rover techs within all those other brands. You know, so that was sort of about where it was.
Was it good morale and team spirit there and stuff? Or?
No, I literally just called a pommy every single day of your life that you turned up there. So it was, it was fine. We had a laugh and all that sort of stuff, but you could hide away in there quite easily.
Get away with doing not a lot one day.
That's
you can't be
it,
arsed.
exactly. Yeah, and it wasn't.
Was your time recorded and all that stuff?
Yeah, you were just clocking in, like stamping in with a time card when you got there in the morning and stuff. Yeah.
But someone to monitor that amount of people, it's never going to happen, is it?
No,
Yeah.
not accurately, no.
It'd take a team just to monitor everyone, wouldn't it? So.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was a big place.
So then you make the decision to come back to the UK.
Yeah, well, we actually were like, right, what are we going to do? Do we want to go back to the UK? Where do we want to go? And we looked at like maybe China. There was some stuff with Land Rover over there at the time. Didn't fancy that. An opportunity came up in Haiti where they just had the earthquake and stuff. So they had all these Red Cross vehicles, the old Defenders over there, but nobody to fix them. So they ended up getting Land Rover techs over and then working we were working out of like a Suzuki dealership over there, trying to train their technicians how to fix the Defenders that they had. So we went over there to see whether or not that was for us, but I probably would have stayed, but my wife hated it. It was all like armed guards everywhere you went.
Yeah, it
and
didn't feel
things.
safe.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, it wasn't a place where you'd be that settled. I don't
Yeah,
think.
fair enough.
So then you was in there, say, for a couple of weeks.
Yeah, just a couple of weeks. Well, when we went over there,
And then was it straight then to...
yeah. Then it was to Scotland and went.
Did you have anything lined up when you moved back, or you just...
No, I just came back and just put my CV into all the Land Rover dealers around and got a job pretty much within the first week or something
Yeah.
of being there.
Yeah. It's not hard to get a job if you're a master tech, is it? Really?
No.
Well, yeah, any technician, any skilled technician, you're going to get a job anywhere, aren't you?
Yeah.
So then how long was you there for then?
So then I was in the main dealer there for, I don't know, it must be like 3-4 years, I would think. Yeah, in Scotland. And then I actually went to another independent in Scotland, like a Land Rover independent.
So that was your first time into the independent world then?
Yeah. So I never even thought that owning your own garage would even be a possibility. I think when you're in that dealership, you don't feel that the independents are even a thing.
Is it just not on your radar?
Not
at
on the
all?
radar. Like normally, I would be guilty of this as well, that if you got a car in that had been into like another garage, an independent or something, you'd be like, well, they must have made an arse of this sort of thing. You
Yeah.
know, it's always that sort of
Yeah, that
mentality.
assumption
Is that sort of instilled at dealerships? do you
Oh,
think? Like-
definitely. It's almost just like I don't know what the right word would be, like almost there's like an air of arrogance around it. I think that with the dealership, it's only, you felt like at the time.
But I think that was quite a common thing, that your garage was a backstreet garage, or was a generalist garage, and they didn't really know how to fix things. It would be like, oh, it's got a misfire, we'll try a core pack, try this. And then when it didn't, it was always like, oh, you need to go to the dealer now.
Yeah.
But then in the last probably 15 years, the amount of specialists that have come on board.
I think it's funny though that you can have that perception as a tech in the industry. Imagine like what the perception is of someone who's not really.
Yeah.
I think it's still now, isn't it? I think I remember this, and I've said it a few times. When I was at Vauxhall, I was like, I thought I could fix any Vauxhalls. I've been through all the Vauxhall training, and I got a quick reality check when I went on my own as independent that I wasn't at that level. But again, and you even hear it from, if you employ an advisor or a manager from a dealer, they'll kind of, and you get that a model car in, they'll kind of go, oh, I can speak to so and so, because it's like, well, no, we're all right, we can, we'll be all right. But there is definitely that conception of that. I mean, you're doing it every day, all day, every day, that brand, aren't you? So don't get me wrong, there's a lot of stuff that you do know that others won't know. You know what data metrics is right or wrong, and without looking it up, don't you know, sort of thing.
Yeah, I think the thing is, in the dealer, you've just got, you just go and send a technical request, don't you? I mean, that's when you look at it now.
You've got the ultimate backup, haven't you?
100%, and then you've also got, like, you don't know, so you send a TR, and then they'll tell you what to fit. Effectively, and if it doesn't fix it, then it's okay. It's not coming out of like anybody's pocket. Essentially, it's the deal.
Yeah, especially if it's under warranty, you just keep going until it's fixed.
That's it. Whereas I think, like, if you look at the Master Techs now, and I know you've discussed it on here before, but I think of my level at being a Master Tech is nothing like what we've got a guy at the moment within our garage who's going through he's pretty much nearing the end of his Master Tech training. And the stuff he does now is probably 10 times.
Who's he doing the training with?
He's doing it with Tech Topics.
Okay,
James. Yeah.
It's a fair old trek then.
Yeah, well, he flies down.
Won't it?
Yeah, that's it. He
ends up becoming not too bad when it's so far away.
That's it. Yeah.
Where's he fly into?
Exeter, I think it is. Yeah. And I think it's pretty much like once a month, 2 days a month. I think it's working out at the moment. So.
Is he enjoying it?
How's that?
He is, yeah.
How's his kind of progression been then from, you see, how quick has he kind of been progressing?
Oh, he's been with us for like sort of 5 years now, Sean, and he is, such a good tech now. And he came in as a good tech, but he's brilliant now. He's just, and it's that level of training, I think, and just it being in a independent, having to find your way through a fix, and I think also you feel a different level of pressure that you can't just go and fling a 1,500 quid ECU on it and hope for the best.
Yeah. And so, how long was you at the independent for then?
So I was there for 3 years, I think. Yeah.
Is this where you got? Was it from the independent that you set up, or was there a stage after?
It was from there that I set up. Yeah.
So how did you go from not even thinking that it's a possibility? Well, in fact, why did you go to an independent from a dealership? What?
So I think definitely from when I started within the dealership network to by the time I left it, it felt like a very different place. In that journey, the sort of badge of honour had sort of lost its shine a bit, I would say, and you were starting to see a real difference in, I felt like, how, you were treated as an employee and all that sort of stuff. And this guy that had the independent was a good guy and everything else, and he set up a good independent. So can't remember how it came about. I think that the driver of the main dealer was still pally with him, so he said to me, oh, by the way, he's looking for somebody if you're interested. And then we went down and had an interview. Like I say, I was impressed with the place and that, and so started over with
and was you skeptical at any point of going into an independent, and like from a job security point of view or anything like that? Or
I think you sort of turned up and felt there was an initial thought that you were going to be turning up to just like a backstreet garage a bit, that sort of ignorance around that. And then when you got there and saw it, you go, actually, no, do you know what, this is and I think it's even the same, with my place, when we've had dealer techs coming and starting, they've turned up and said, oh, actually, I thought it was just going to be like a little...
I think that's a really important thing is, people talk about how to recruit, and I think the premises is a big thing.
Yeah.
You know, having a nice looking premises and facilities, and being proud of where you work, I guess.
I think if you want a modern, young, aspiring tech, it's probably quite critical to that decision-making process.
Definitely, I think nowadays it really is. Like, it's gone are the days that's just like a sort of black hole and
You have your lunch at your toolbox sort of
Well,
thing.
gone are the days, but I mean, they still absolutely exist.
Yeah.
And even if we look at the disparity across some of our branches, it's just really hard to keep it up to scratch and maintained.
Yeah.
We've got some great bit, like look at this one, for example. It sets a good picture when you pull up to this
100%,
one. But then, it's very expensive to keep branches up to that sort of standard, isn't it?
Yeah, and there's not like there's the availability of premises to kind of move
It's
it.
very slim.
Yeah.
So so you're there for 3 years. At what point in that journey do you think, actually, I want to go at this myself?
How old would you have been as well?
So when I've been going for just about 8 years. I'm 43 now. So
35. So
Yeah.
you've been about between. So you're independent between 32 and 35.
Yep, that would make sense. And then from there, I think I was just working within this garage, and it was great, and the owner was great, and everything else like that. A few bits hadn't happened that I was sort of hoping were going to happen, and some unfulfilled promises and stuff like that. And I think at the time I sort of felt like, right, do you know what? I could actually do this for myself now.
But that's very interesting, just that bit there, and it just shows the importance of talking to your staff regularly, listening to them. Because you could argue if you had been then looked after to the and we're guilty of this as well. The more
Stay
busy
engaged.
you get, you can easily forget these things and how important it is to actually follow through with what you say.
Yeah, 100%. But I mean, even now I look back on it and think, do you know what? I was probably a bit harsh on the boss as well. I still speak with him now, and we're still, at a level of where we help each other out and all that sort of stuff. He's a great guy. And I look back on that now sometimes and think, do you know what? I can see what was happening there as well from running running a garage myself.
Yeah, I guess your argument is you can't pander to every single request, and sometimes there's financial constraints and just being busy and
yeah, absolutely.
And also you've made a success, a very quick success of opening a garage, so it was always within you to do that.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? And you can only stop that entrepreneur from coming out for so long, can't you? If someone's destined to, it's like if someone leaves your business to set up on their own.
You've got
it's just a handshake, isn't it? And
that's it. And I think
luck.
we've had it happen to us, and I think it's if it's going to happen, I think it's going to happen anyway, isn't it? Yeah, that's it. Wish them all the best, and that's it.
So from the point that you've thought, I'm going to do it on my own, then how long was you from thinking about it to actually leaving and doing it?
So I used to just do obviously homers like of an evening and stuff like that, and it was probably where it got to the point that was working till 11, 12 o'clock at night to try and get those done and then go home. My daughter had just been born as well. So
I was about to ask what was the family situation, because that changes things, doesn't it?
It does, yeah. So Lola was like, she literally, when I was trying to build it up a bit, she was young, like really young, sort of pretty much just been born. So I was coming home at like 11, 12 o'clock at night, going to bed, waking up through the night, helping with night feeds, back to sleep, back up at 6 o'clock in the morning, back into the day job, home, see Lola, back to work, back home. I think it was the point where
It's the bit you don't see, isn't it?
And you thought, I know, it'd be easier to do my own business.
Yeah, that's it, exactly. I was thinking, right, well, I'm too busy to do them both. Now's the time to make the jump.
Where were you getting those customers from?
So it was just pretty much like there'd be like trade, other garages and bits and pieces like that, really, some private stuff. It was just one of these things that it just sort of snowballed really quickly.
So you would just have people ringing you up, I've heard you do this, can you?
Yeah, well, that's it. Or it's a friend of a friend and what have you. Yeah.
What were you charging back then?
So, I mean, when I was doing it myself, I can't remember exactly. I think I would just price a job. But when I first opened the garage, I was £35 an hour.
And that was only in 2017 as well.
Yeah.
And what was the dealership at that point? Can you remember?
Oh, I think they were at least 120 at that point.
Crazy.
Yeah.
What made you choose that price? Did you just sort of think that
just sort of
don't want to be too
plucked it out of the
expensive?
sky?
Yeah, don't want to be too expensive.
Yeah.
or-
Charitable, wasn't he?
I think I started at £35 an hour. That's in 2010.
Yeah.
I remember sort of having these offers like front pads fitted for £69 or whatever. And
But you know when you're naive to business and
Oh,
you think
yeah.
£35 an hour.
Yeah, that'd be great.
well, naturally,
That's what
price
doctors
is
get
your.
paid.
You naturally think that you need to be the cheapest and the best, don't you?
You definitely don't. Yeah.
No, that's it. But that's exactly what I was thinking. I mean, there's still places. See, in the town that I live in Dumbarton, I think there's still a garage there. Has been going forever, and I think, up until certainly a few months ago, maybe 6 months ago, he was still £35 an hour.
I think it's like builders as well. Like we've got a builder, and he's still like really quite cheap. Doesn't know his worth.
Yeah.
Yeah, but you can't. It's like, I suppose if he owns the building and he's got no debt, do you know what I mean?
That's it.
But a builder's a van, typically.
Yeah, but
and
so what I'm
some
saying is
equipment.
you'd have one at that rate still. Yet there's other builders that are charging 4 or 5 times as much.
Yeah, yeah.
It's knowing
it-
your worth, isn't it?
It really is, yeah.
Yeah, and this is the same guy that'll also tell you that you can't find a technician anywhere. But at that price, I don't know what
What he's paying, yeah.
Exactly,
Yeah.
that's it.
Yeah.
Well, at some point, at every point, you employ a technician on an average salary today, it'll be costing you more than he's charging.
100%.
obviously.
Yeah.
So these home jobs you're doing, is that in the first unit then? Because so your first unit was like 2 ramps, did you say?
Yeah, so it was a tiny little long, thin unit. Really, the thing had been on fire at some point, and then it had a new roof put on
Okay.
it. But it was an absolute mess. Like the sort of breeze block walls were all crumbling away,
Right,
and the
okay.
floor, you could sweep it 100 times a day, and it'd still
So
be.
you'd obviously taken that little unit on whilst you were still working in
Yeah.
your full-time job, and then you did your home jobs, built a bit of a base, and thought, actually, I'm going to go on my own now.
Yeah.
So 20% you went on your own. And then how long did you stay in that building for? Until 3 years, you said?
I think we were 3 years in there. Yeah.
So that's quite a while in there then with a couple of ramps.
Yep.
And how was you doing then? I guess your rent was low there.
Yeah, it was like £400 a month or something.
So was you earning okay money there with yourself? And
Yeah, it was. Yeah, I felt like
How quickly did it come round that you were earning enough money to replace the job that you just left?
I would say I felt like that happened pretty quickly. I sort of felt like, a lot of you sort of felt like everyone was giving you money here, there, and everywhere, and you felt like you had lots of money. But in the actual reality, I think we were building up. I've never sent a part back. I don't think pretty much for the first 2 years. You'd order loads of stuff in, and then doing the actual admin side of sending parts back and stuff like that. That all starts quickly catching up with you after a while, I think. So before you know it, you're like, hang on a minute, that supplier's that much money, and
Yeah.
then I only actually did that.
So you got credited. Were you VAT registered then, or?
When I started, I wasn't VAT registered for the first year. No.
So you don't have to worry about that for the first year.
No.
Yeah, you get to that point where, especially when you keep growing, because you got turnover coming in and it's going in your bank straight away.
Yeah.
And then before you know it, it's when that growth sort of plateaus, because
Yeah.
then you're not getting the next level in, and then it kind of catches up with you after sort of 3 or 4 months.
Yeah,
and
it's
it's
like,
like,
yeah.
and it's like, right now I've got to
Because you
pay.
can grow through the pain, can't you?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think that's a big, I remember that quite well, when that turnover kind of almost stabilizes.
Reality kicks in.
Because you're always living on this month to pay the month before that. So yeah, when that stabilizes, it kind of has an effect.
Yeah, I didn't have any clue or any sort of understanding of business at all when I first started. I just thought, turn up, fix a couple of cars, and then if you maybe didn't have enough money, I'll just stay late for a couple of hours and do another couple of cars.
Were your family supportive this time?
Yeah, Nicola, my wife, was amazing. I was working all the hours under the sun. We obviously had Lola, who was really young, but yeah, she was great. Just let me sort of understood what was needed to try and obviously get the business off the ground. So yeah, I had the full support there. I think it'd be a struggle to do it otherwise, I think.
Yeah, if you get in the ear chewed off every time you get home.
Yeah.
As well. And what was you using to run from a accounting or garage running point of view? And
So we
software,
just
or?
used Garage Assistant.
Yeah, okay,
Yeah.
And did you have a bookkeeper or accountants, or how did you know what you was? Was
Yeah.
it like a year-end thing? Just chuck it all to an accountant? And
No, I got an accountant quite early on. So I had some advice from this guy that I used to do some of his cars, and he was like a multi-millionaire. He'd sold some business beforehand for millions and all that sort of stuff. So he used to tell me,
It's a cool person
Get
to
yourself
have available to talk to.
That's it. Get yourself a good accountant right at the start and a bookkeeper and everything. If you're not going to have the sort of wherewithal sort of to be able to do that, then just get somebody to do it from you and straight away. So I did that, luckily, which I think that was a big thing because I'm terrible when it comes to admin side of stuff.
Cool. So then after 3 years then, so you're moving to your second premises, which was about 3,000 square foot.
Yep.
So was that at all kind of nervous, or was you just comfortable you had that much work on just to...
Yeah, so we moved into there, pretty much got the keys the 1st of March 2020, and then COVID kicked off.
Say that's...
Yeah, so like the 18th or something. So, I mean, I think when I look back at it now, I feel like I probably... This place was completely different because it was like a nice new unit, had a little sort of customer waiting area, a little office at the back, and had enough room for the 3 ramps. It felt like quite a big move at the time, especially from where I'd been. And then I think I remember, I think at that point, the business bank account was like £1,000 overdrawn or something.
Yeah.
And I was thinking, is this the right move? And my wife at the time, Nicola, she was like that. I don't think it is, Paul, and I was like, no, I think it is. This is a good opportunity. We'll get this unit. Moved in, spent every penny we had to get in there, and then COVID kicked off. And like 2 weeks later.
So what was it before the unit? Was it?
It was another garage.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
That's cool.
So it actually already had ramps in there and everything else like that. So it was good.
Did you inherit any customers?
No. It was like a taxi. Used to do taxis or something like that.
So you're in there 2 weeks and COVID hits. So then what's going through your mind then?
So panic, a fair bit of panic at that point.
I guess the bounce back loan was mega helpful for you then.
Well, that bounce back loan was actually probably what really helped us, because that went into the bank, and I thought, I had what did I have then? I think I had 2 apprentices and myself, and I think I sent them home. I managed to get I had turbos on a Range Rover. I got an engine in. Because it was also all of a sudden they're going to be potential lockdown, scrambling around trying to get as many parts in the door as you could. Sent the guys home, and I just turned up to work every day, shut the door down, and had these 3 or 4 big jobs in, which worked my way through. And then by that point, you were seeing that actually you can still keep the place open, and there was still demand for cars to get fixed.
And those cars that were coming in, were they like key workers' cars or just anyone?
It was just anybody's car. Yeah, it seemed to be quite a bit of general public stuff.
And for all this, did the name Elite Land Rover come from the start, or is this a name that was...
It was something that I wasn't really sure on the name at all, to be honest with you. And then, so actually the limited company is actually just my initials, PEG Automotive. But then when I was thinking, hang on, that's not really going to work for what we're trying to do here. So then obviously came up with the Elite Land Rover.
When did that name kick in?
Pretty much, I would say probably about sort of 3-4 months after starting.
But when you started, you were a specialist when you started?
Yeah, I was always a specialist.
From day one?
Yeah.
Do you ever get any issues with the name from Land Rover, like marketing or Land Rover, say anything about it?
No, not directly. Hopefully this won't cause anything. But I've had the Facebook account. I can't have Land Rover in that, so I have to just be Elite Clydebank, because anytime I think I've done about 3 now, and they always just get closed down. And apparently it's because of...
I think if it's a trading name as well, I guess if it's the company's house name, they're probably been more on the ball with it. But yeah.
So but my point is, from the whole time you have been specialist and stuck to being specialist.
Yeah, always, because that's just all I've ever worked on, Land Rover.
And at any point when you started and you perhaps weren't busy enough, were you tempted to work on any other cars? Or?
So definitely, when I first started, we would do a service on something else or what have you, and mess around. And when I was doing Homers, I was doing Transits and all sorts of stuff back then. But then when I actually thought, right, we're going to make a go of this as a business, then at that point in time, we were always a specialist.
Yeah, it's interesting that you, without really much business background, that you probably made one of the most influential, important decisions.
Yeah,
I don't know.
I think when people started from a dealer, though, it's quite a fairly... Because I did the same with Vauxhall, and I know other people that did
specialist
Volkswagen. Yeah. So I think when it's almost, if it's a dealer, it'd be stupid to not focus.
But I can imagine it is very tempting to we'll service Fords or Do you know what I mean? Like, I've obviously never been in that situation, but
we did lots of other brands, but you kind of went out. Like, this is what we're doing. But obviously, then people bring in, can you know, in a family, you might have 2 or 3 or 4 cars potentially, mightn't you? So,
I think that so the previous independent that I was working with, he was very sort of rigid on that. You know, he was Jaguar, was his background, so he was always like, no, we don't want to dilute that down. That's Jaguar. That's what we do, and this is that, and blah blah blah. So I think that really sort of rang in my head when I was starting thinking that, like, that's a good way to be. Like, let's just keep it like that. Then people know that you're the place to go for Land Rovers and what have you.
And do you feel like that reputation that you have around your local area is very strong if you own that vehicle?
Yeah, I think so. Absolutely. You know, we have all the same stuff that the dealer has and the usual sort of stuff that you'd expect in independents, but we get a good name. I mean, even sometimes we're lucky. We've got quite a lot of connections within the dealer. And sometimes people turn up and say, oh, the salesman said just to bring the car here, don't get it serviced in there.
My old manager actually used to recommend, because we was probably about half hour away, and he used to recommend me quite a bit to some customers.
Yeah,
especially like had a problem in Lincoln or broke down in Lincoln, he would recommend to come to me. So, so in 2020, then, what month in that year did you sort of think actually this COVID thing's all right? And
yeah, I think I sent the guys home for about 8 weeks or something like that, and then they were back in. But it was just we just got going again after that. We'd always managed to keep busy.
And you was only in here for 2 years, wasn't you, in this building?
Yeah.
So what point did you get, and it was just you, so when did you start adding?
So in that same building there, we actually added, so I managed to recruit a technician, somebody that I'd worked with before in the dealer. So he came over, and in the pretty much same space of a couple of weeks, a friend of mine, again, that I worked with in the dealer, he'd been away, and he'd come back. Had he been away? No, something like, he just lost his job or something. I can't remember. I think he might have been made redundant after the COVID stuff.
Right.
And then he was like, look, have you got any jobs going? And at that point in time, taking on one sort of fully qualified technician was what I thought was all we needed. But then I thought, well, look, I want to help my friend out, so got him in as well. So we actually went from pretty much no fully qualified techs to 2 straight away, and it was probably the best thing that ever happened. Yeah.
And you just sort of, I always say that, like, just getting a technician, you'll see the sales just happen. If
it's scary though, isn't it?
Yeah, well, you just think that wage is the frightening thing, isn't it?
I was about to ask that. So how was that first offering a person a job then? Yeah,
well, it took a lot to get my head around. I think, you know, the understanding of, well, I can sort of do it myself at the moment, but if I pay this much money a year, then what is that going to do for the business? And it actually, I found a lot of the growth has actually come from the customer demand. You know, that you're almost doing it to try and, like, right, okay, well, customers are getting annoyed because their cars are sitting there for too long and stuff like that, rather than
in a plan.
Yeah, rather than
busy getting them a tech.
You can clearly see the opportunities there to grow.
Yeah,
because the demand is already there.
Yeah, definitely. That's pretty much been the sort of the driving force.
And at that point that you got those 2 techs, who else was in the business? Was it just?
So we had we got the 2 technicians, myself, and then we had these 2 apprentices.
So you're doing everything from end. You're doing all the invoicing, parts, all that sort of stuff.
And then within that place, I then took on a dedicated front of the house as well.
Okay. So that's just on that point, because I speak to a lot of garage owners who are at the point where they want to either get a tech or get an advisor or expand or just do something, but it's the cost, it's the unknown. Just talk me through the thought process when you got this advisor and you got these techs. Like, where were you at? Did you just instinctively know, or did you feel really uneasy with it, or was?
Again, I think employing the front of the house felt like a real, like, I don't know is that a wise thing to do? You know,
it's seen as a cost, isn't it?
Exactly. This whole sort of unproductive staff thing that is a bit of a swear word these days, but that's what I was thinking in my head at the time as well. But again, it was one of the best things I ever did. Like that I think probably made one front of the house, probably made the same amount of difference to sort of my workload as 2 technicians did. You know, it was a good front of the house made.
Were they experienced in the trade?
Yeah. She'd been in I think she'd done an apprenticeship in the service advisor role with, I want to say, Macklin or Arnold Clark or somebody like that. So she came in, knew it all, knew how to treat customers. Customers loved her, and
that was good.
It was great instantly.
Yeah, because I guess the thing is when you get that first hire wrong and it's someone that causes you more pain and problems.
Especially on that front. It's almost like there's less jeopardy when it's a tech, when it's front of house, and all of a sudden...
And then you become sceptical of getting the next person in or whatever, don't you? So,
Yeah.
Well, they could just, if they're bad, they could just lose that loyal customer.
Yeah,
They make
exactly.
a wrong judgment.
and cause you more stresses and headaches and things. So then, 2 years in there, there's 3 of you, 2 apprentices and a front of house.
Yeah.
And then what makes you go for the where you are now? So you found a 6,000 square foot building somewhere.
Yeah.
Just before you move, how
sorry.
was the profit? How was like money at this point?
So money was completely different to what it was like before now. So we had money in the bank and it all felt really quite good. But again, I was just sort of going on how the business was doing by what the bank account looked like.
Yeah.
And was you taking out a good salary or?
No, I think I used to pay myself like £400-500 a week or something
okay.
like that. Yeah.
Just enough to get by home.
That's it, pretty much. Yeah. You'd maybe have your perks of like your fuel and bits and pieces like that, didn't you? But I hadn't actually learnt the importance of paying yourself properly, probably up until a couple of years ago, really, within it all.
And understanding what a business can earn if it's, we always talk about this. You can, if you don't know what the potential is of a business, what it could earn.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I also think that you said you do have to learn the lesson. You do have to pay yourself properly, but you also have to be able to pay yourself what you can afford.
Yeah,
And
absolutely.
it's like if you're pocketing that money, paying the income tax on it,
Yeah.
it's not in the business anymore.
No, that's it. And I think, again, even though where we were now, we were growing and it was all feeling, a lot more like a proper business at this point, I still didn't really have any business sort of acumen or anything else like around it. Like I say, just sort of looking at the bank account going, oh, that looks all right. We could maybe buy this now or what have you. Again, it still felt like quite almost like an isolated little independent sort of stuff. I still didn't really, I hadn't reached out to seen any of the network or anything else like that, or like other garage owners that were doing it and all that sort of stuff. So again, wasn't really sure how to be doing it, what to be doing. I just knew that
So you were still
fixing
completely
cars.
in your own lane at this point.
Yeah.
And this is even in 20... So this is between 2020 and 2022 in that thing, isn't it? So
Yeah. So just again,
whereas the community, I feel, really came on that
It did
COVID
around
part.
COVID. So even during COVID, you weren't speaking to anyone?
No,
Okay.
didn't even know it really even existed, madly. Like, I think, again, being in that dealership bubble, then the independent I went to wasn't involved in any of the sort of community stuff at all. And then starting myself, again, you just sort of just trundling along.
When did you find a community then, or what?
So then when we moved into the new site, we moved into the new site, we got Garage Hive on board and Power BI. And
So how did you find Garage Hive?
So I think I can't remember how it came up now. I feel like it was just, I'd come across it on Facebook or something like that.
Right.
We knew that we needed a new garage management system. I had a call with somebody at Garage Hive when I was still in the small place, and we were looking to move garage management systems at that. We were still paper diary, and we thought, right, we need to change this. Decided not to go with Garage Hive at the time because I felt like it was maybe going to be too expensive and everything else like that. We actually went to like Euro car parts thing, which I think was MAM, which they gave you for free if you spent a certain amount of money with them and all that stuff. I think we had that for a year, and then we moved into the big site and thought that it wasn't doing what we needed it to do. So then went over to Garage Hive, and that sort of changed a lot of stuff all at once. The Power BI, understanding it as a business and the certain metrics and things like that. And then also obviously the community then that comes around
get in
with
the
it.
forum and you get
Was
to
you
the blend.
Was you kind of like a bit like...
It was like an epiphany, that sort of thing. When you see it all, and then you can talk to people and that are operating garages, bigger and better than yours and everything else.
Chuck a message in the group and say
100%. That's it. And then that maybe opens up. You then see about you hear about tech topics and like all these, just all the other things that are around that are out there for the independent.
So you're quite new to this part, aren't you? So when
Really?
22, 23, you kind of got into that, was it?
Yeah, definitely.
Obviously, with the blends just happened at the time of this recording. It was a few days ago, wasn't it? And
Still hungover, aren't we?
I still feel a little bit ropey. Not gonna lie. No, but I got speaking to quite a few people whose it was their first blend.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And two of them in particular went on exactly the same journey. They listened to this podcast came up on a Facebook reel. They then listened to the podcast, listened to the episodes, then found Garage Hive, then found the community, and then found the blend.
Yeah.
And this happened all in the space of like a few months. So they
Oh,
go from
really? Yeah.
not knowing and it was almost
quite
like
an exciting
you
place to
you
be.
pull the curtains back and you realise there's
Yeah.
all those idiots behind the curtains.
Yeah. No, it must be quite like, you think from a motivational point of view, like, I guess because we've been in it for so long, like to have a new leash of kind of like that, it must give you quite a bit of like, wow, we can.
Oh, definitely. I think it's so refreshing to see so many, like-minded people willing to talk and share how they do things and everything else like that, and get ideas and what have you, and also just even know that sometimes you're not the only one out there feeling the pain of it. It's
And where would you say you were then on like a KPI, like average invoice values and efficiencies, that sort of thing? Was you kind of aware of those at all, or?
No, I mean, I'd never ever looked at it. Before that, I'd never even looked at like workshop efficiencies or anything else like that.
No
or
KPIs
even
or anything?
no.
Still just bank balance.
Yeah. Until we went in to the new place, we got Garage Hive in on the first day, and then from there, that sort of first 6-8 months of seeing all this stuff and how it's done and these metrics you can measure and look at.
Do you operate from gross profit now?
Yeah.
It's like a primary.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we were really just trying to obviously focus on the workshop efficiency is the big number that we're now trying to just make sure we're getting that right, and then our margin on the parts, obviously, and then obviously seeing then what that then means in terms of GP.
Are you doing health checks?
Yeah.
Are we doing them anyway?
Yeah, I've always done them.
Dealer background,
exactly.
I guess. Yeah.
So I think I was.
So you doing them on paper before?
Yeah.
I assume.
Yeah. Well, even just like having a quick look over and just writing it down on a piece of A4 paper on a clipboard, not even like, the boxes and stuff like that. You would just give the car a once over and report anything.
I mean, I'm obviously an advocate for Garage Hive, but you don't need anything to do vehicle health checks. So like if you're listening to this and you don't currently do them, you don't need to sort of go out there and get a really fancy system, and you can just make a start on paper, can't you?
That's it.
And the rewards are they're not.
Any process.
It's not going to be as smooth.
Garage Hive, yes, it has, but you can do that same thing about it. You know?
can.
Yeah.
And just make a start.
Yeah. I think it's a massive thing. I think everyone's worried about, it looks like you're trying to upsell and what have you to the customer, but some customers are so, they want to know that the brakes aren't good.
We definitely I think. Again, technicians, I see it a lot of our Ford site, and they're a lot more established, been much longer. And there's definitely, I think it's the technician and garage side have this phobia, but when you actually look at it from a broader point of view, if imagine if you didn't know anything about vehicles and you took it somewhere, you'd want them to let you know surely what's kind of wrong with it.
100%. Yeah.
I always, if a guy comes to fix your boiler and he fixed a bit that was broken, and then 2 weeks later something else broken, and he could have told you that, oh, by the way, this is on its way out.
Yeah.
You'd be peed off.
It's a massive negative experience. There's loads of
Yeah.
analogies you can use, but for me, the simplest one is if it was your partner's, your daughter's, or your parents' car, are you going to check it for them and tell them if there's anything else wrong?
Yeah.
I think
The answer is always yes.
the problem with it is it's the old adage of like the quick fit thing, but not saying that is that there now, where you hear so many stories where a car's gone somewhere, they've been told they need new tyres and brakes, and they've come to you and actually they're fine.
I think the problem is there's so much mistrust still in within the people looking at the automotive industry and going, well, my mate down the pub says I didn't need that, so I don't know why you've tried to sell one of those to
It's
me.
not
But
help with all this, this finance stuff at the minute, is it? All these claims for who bought a car on finance. Again, that's putting a bad kind of light on the industry.
If a garage is going to rob someone, it is unfortunately the way that they would do it, isn't it?
Yeah.
They're going to tell you need something that you
Well,
don't.
I think the biggest issue is actually a different in standards. So like if you're measuring brake disc thicknesses or you're not, they could have two good kind of technicians, but they've got different stances on that. If someone's not doing that and they go to another garage, so a garage does do it, and they say this aluminum thickness and need changing. They go somewhere else that doesn't do it. Oh, they're fine.
And again, that will come from a tech who's worked in a dealer background, who's going to work to disc specifications.
Yeah.
And a tech that's been raised in the independent
Yeah.
who doesn't know any better would say, I wouldn't change them. I'd just
And that's one of
I'd
many.
just knock the
It
lip
could be
off them.
aircon servicing every 2 years or whatever. Or if
Yeah.
you know, some people say, well, if it's cold, it's fine. You
Yeah.
know, and so on.
Yeah, I know. I think there's so much of that sort of stuff. And I think in terms of our feedback on health checks, we may be out of probably 100 health checks, we might have one person say, well, I didn't ask you to check that stuff. But, you know, on the whole, it's great. You know, it's
But
received.
even that, yes, you can run into trouble, but as long as your front of house have got the skills to deal with that communication,
Yeah.
It's something a process, isn't it?
you're never going to be in trouble.
No,
are you?
that's it. And it's always
Yeah.
just, you know, look, we're not looking to sell you that. We've checked you it. There is a price if you want it, but there's, you know, zero pressure. That's like,
It's up to you.
Yeah.
decision.
Yeah, and
That's
I
it.
think it's important to up front say what's going to happen. And also, I think now as well, you'll have most people will expect a health check, because if you're doing cars that are in that car park of 4 to 7 years old, they've probably been at the dealer, haven't they? You know, at some point, and more and more people are used to that experience.
Yeah.
I would just, it's very hard for any of us to step outside garage ownership and pretend we just own a car and we take a car. And if I was in that position, I'd want my car checked.
yeah, 100%. Yeah.
I would, in fact, I would just assume.
But anyway,
it's being
we're turning
checked.
into a health check episode now.
I know, but it's like, it's still amazing how many people don't do health checks.
Yeah.
Or
Like-
don't do them right.
They
as
don't
well.
do them right.
Yeah.
They don't do them. They don't have the front of house skills to actually, be able to do them properly.
Yeah.
And then you can end up in a pickle, and you can end up pissing a customer off if you're not careful.
Yeah, I remember. I started doing it in 2010 when I first started, and I always remember one customer who was actually she was a police officer, and she went right rant at me, and that's when I learned, like, got to tell the customer that you're kind of doing
Expectations.
it. And,
Yeah.
And it was funny because I remember it's a bottom boardroom, absolutely hanging as well, and it's just like, but yeah.
Car probably shouldn't be on the road. It's probably dangerous. Yeah.
So then, so you found this software. So when you've moved into this unit, so finding this unit, then going back to that, the 6,000 square foot one.
Yeah.
Was that a big?
Yeah, so that would have been, so we'd outgrown this site. Again, I think, you know, hindsight, it maybe should have been a bit more brave on the
When you first jumped.
move. Yeah. But then at that point in time, I was still absolutely
That's when you had
flapping.
no money in your bank account there. And
COVID
Being
just kicked
brave
off.
in hindsight is the easiest thing in the world.
Yeah,
to say,
that's
isn't
it. So then there was this place up the road. It's pretty much in the same industrial state as where we are. And it was my neighbour in the unit that we were in then used to use them. It was like a storage. I think if you bought like a sofa from DFS or something, it would travel up, and then this was like a holding warehouse
Like
where
a
they would
hub
dispatch.
sort of
Yeah,
thing.
exactly.
Yeah.
So that's what this place was, and the guy next door to me used to use them for getting packaging stuff. So he's used to send stuff away or something, you know, for packaging. So it came up that way, and he said, "Oh, I think they're going to move out of there soon." So I went down and had a conversation with him if we could potentially rent it, offer them.
Do you have to sort planning?
No, I did when I put the MOT bay in or something. We had to
Okay.
apply then for planning, but to
I guess it's B2 and B8 or whatever. It's B8 storage, isn't it?
B8 storage, yeah.
But often they might have
Combined.
B2 on them as well.
yeah, well this was officially a transport company, so I don't know if it makes any difference, but that's what they used to do with the actual warehouse bit of it. So yeah, that was always on the horizon for us. After about 12 months of probably being in the
Oh,
place.
it's good that you knew of it coming available, so you could kind of like work into
so we
it.
were sort of just chipping away at them, right, when do we think, and when's it happening? And then we kept obviously going with that, and then they actually moved out the warehouse, but then they were still using the offices in there. So we were then able to go in, get the ramps in, and
that's
start
cool.
setting up
Before
the
you had to start
workshop.
paying for
Before
it.
we had to start paying rent.
that's
Yeah,
cool.
so I think we had about 3 months to get the workshop pretty much set up before
That's
they
good.
vacated the
I was
offices.
very lucky.
We were lucky. I think it was one of those things. It just happened
And was
to
that a
fall
bit
in.
of a? Did you have the lease or anything actually kind of was it a risk there at all that you could do all that and then landlords say
I mean, I guess it probably was, but
It was.
yeah. By the way,
We've got a mate like that, haven't we?
well, yeah, he's just literally moving at the minute, and he was telling us last week he's got all the groundworks done and all this sort of stuff, and he hadn't had the lease through yet, and there's a few issues with it, and he was a fair few thousand. I think it was going to cost him about 200 grand if it went wrong, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think
He who
again,
dares.
I can be really bad for that sort of stuff.
I
Just
think we all are. It's just like,
leading in a bit blind,
Wing it and
yeah,
worry about it later.
we'll hope for the best, and
it'll be all right.
Enough momentum and you'll get through it. won't you?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, you move in, you install Garage Hive, you get a lot more staff.
Yeah.
All at the same time.
all pretty much day one.
So you were saying earlier then that you thought, so is this a point where you kind of thought you was very, very busy, get more people, it would get better?
Yeah. Well, I thought, so I could take a load of stress away because I think we were booking for like 5-6 weeks in advance at that point, and we knew that, customers breathing down their necks and everybody.
What was your labour rate by this point?
I think we were 65,
Okay,
I think,
yeah.
around about then, 65, 70, I think. So we'd come up a fair bit but from where we were. But we were definitely feeling the pressure from the customer to sort of move and then push it on. I think in terms of, I hadn't really ever thought, I had done some sort of maths on the back of a cigarette packet stuff, looking right, well, if I've got 8 ramps and 8 decks and 7 hours a day, then that would be this much money. Thinking then that just solves all the problems that we had at that time in terms of customer expectations and what have you.
Yeah. So your main stress was literally just too much work.
Yes. Yeah.
What about like HR, staff, and cash flow? Or did you have any issues there? Or
No, I mean, I'd always been pretty lucky in terms of the staff and stuff like that. We'd always just all got along and didn't really even have like a HR process in place or anything at all.
And how many of you was there?
So there was 4 in the workshop and 1 front of house and me.
Yeah, so it's quite a good number, isn't it?
Yeah.
I remember watching a podcast recently. Key person influence guy. What's his name? Key person influence.
Oh my gosh. Oh, anyway, yeah.
And he's on about
Daniel
Daniel Priestley. Yeah, and he's on about this like.
Sorry, Daniel, if you're listening. Obviously, you listen to this podcast. We do love it.
But he's on about like 1 to X staff and 8, and he's saying that the number was, and this was his Stephen Bartlett one, but he said the number is like you get to like 12, and that's when the team changes because you get like 2 sort of separate parts of teams, and he was literally saying like it was like from 11's fine, but 12's not.
Yeah.
Dynamic.
Yeah.
But
it definitely brings in another host of stress and pressure, I think, doesn't it? I mean, that when I moved into this place, we then all of a sudden we had all these extra bodies, we had this new software that we were using, and then all these extra cars coming in, all these extra customers coming in. We had an extra front of house at that point as well, and then before you knew it, we were then experiencing like all of a sudden cash flow was starting to become tight, but yet the numbers were looking good. So I was thinking,
so sales are going up.
Yeah, and I was thinking, what is going on here? And then I think we went on, had a look at the stock side of things through Power BI, and we had something like £75,000 worth of parts on job sheets. But then, so again, we were having like parts. We were just ordering, right, okay, that's fine, yeah, they'll book back in, or the car's sitting outside, but we're not getting to that car for maybe 2-3 weeks because we were still super busy. And then buying everything in and then paying out all the suppliers, and then before you know it, it's like, hang on a minute.
That is the problem with stock and like running stock correctly from an accounts point of view. If you're not looking at your stock, you're looking at your gross profit, and
it'd be wrong.
Yeah, and it'd
be amazing.
Well, it's not wrong, it's right, but you've
technically right.
Yeah.
But you're never going to get the value out of those parts, are you? I wonder how much money is sat in garages in dead stock.
Oh, frightening, I would imagine.
We've hundreds of millions.
We've just moved. We're now putting all of our parts straight to the P&L because I know when I have a problem, because I just hate that when you do all your accounts, whatever, and you might look a month or 2 months later, and then you find out that you thought you made this, but you now got 2 or 3 grand to write off, and a smaller site, if you got 2 or 3 grand to write off, it can make a big difference.
Yeah.
A bit on a monthly basis. Not saying you write that much off a month, but yeah, I just like now that kind of. I know that will always be the right side of it.
At our worst, we were up there thousands of pounds a month of written off stock every single month. Yeah, across the sites.
Yeah, I mean, to be honest with you, we've got a load of dead stock. We were looking at it just recently. The last couple of weeks, we've been going through it.
Do you have to buy a lot of yours from dealership as well?
Yeah, a lot.
So I bet your margins are lower than that.
Well, and they're also not as good on returns, are they?
So the actual dealership itself's not too bad. So if you get it in and you've had it, you can send it back for free for even 14 days. And I think up to 60 days, it's 35 quid or something. So if your part's 500 quid or £1,000, it's worth doing. But if it's 60 quid, you maybe think, oh, we'll sit with it and see if it comes in handy. But again, I am really bad for that. You know, like we might use that. You know, just keep that there. You never know. You might get an old 2001 XJ that needs a right-hand rear drive shaft.
We have someone that at our main site that focuses just on parts. That's to keep on top of that whole items to return thing. And
well,
it's nice comfort. So we've
got a full-time parts person as well, which great for getting all the stuff sent back. And you know, but I built up an immense amount of just crap probably that we'll never use now, which I think needs written off.
Set up now then? What's the setup today?
So set up today is we've got parts, we've got 3 front of house and a front of house manager.
Oh wow.
We've got a workshop manager, and then we've got I think 8 fully qualified technicians and 3 apprentices, like year 1, year 2, mate. Year 3. Yep.
That's a business that sounds like it doesn't need you then.
It's definitely it's the best it's ever been in that respect. You know, we were lucky enough that this year we took 5-6 weeks off and went back to Australia, the two of us, because the 10-year ban had expired. So
that's 6 non-productive.
Yeah.
Don't shoot me. 8 techs and 3 apprentices.
Plus you. Or are you included in that?
Yeah, so I put myself, and we had a valeter as well. The valeter's literally just left there not long ago. So,
do you valet everything? What were you valeting?
Yeah, we service wash everything.
Okay.
So every car that gets done gets.
And what's your labour rate now?
So we're 112.50 plus VAT. Yeah.
So that point when you'd moved
I'd
in...
like to see that plotted on a graph from...
I think it's pretty horrendous at the time.
So when you moved in and... I remember you saying you took on 4 techs at once, got Garage Hive in, and then your cash flow was kind of going down. What did you do at that point to kind of get a handle on that then?
So one of the biggest things was taking the parts deposit, you know. So if the customer was leaving site, then pay for the parts before they go. That then it means we'll order them in for you, and then obviously it then stops the sort of no-show side of things, or if they don't show, you know, the parts are...
How much of it was down to kind of like efficiencies or
not
selling the right amount of hours and that sort of stuff?
Again, I think, you know, hours given away is like the gained and lost. That
the red jobs thing,
that's a big factor for us. Like we do a lot of big stuff, so those jobs you're easily, you know, you can have one bad job and you blow
your brains out.
Yeah, I mean we've got one on at the moment which was one of these ones. I said a while ago we're not going to take that sort of stuff on.
Historically, have you took anything on?
Like anything JLR, we'll just take it in, we'll do it. Then we got to a point where we were starting to see these older things, like if you were having to do major surgery on them, like the body off stuff on them, you're going, right, do you know what, it's actually not worth our while now, because we either need to charge stupid money for the time spent because the problems you come across from when you're doing it.
Yeah, all the extra add-ons like, and now
that's it.
Did you ever find, we don't want that job, just put the price up, and they still say yes?
I mean, sometimes the thing with Jaguar Land Rover, especially the Land Rover side of it, is the loyalty I think the customer has to the brand.
And they know it's going to cost them that money.
Yeah, I mean, we're doing this Disco 3 at the moment. He's been a customer of mine forever, and it's a body off job for a crossover pipe. It should take you probably, so when they were like new in the dealership, you'd do them in probably 6 to 8 hours maximum. Now, I think this thing's I think we spent nearly about 40, 50 hours on it, and we're charging out 12 or something. So it's absolute suicide.
How good are you at selling your diagnostic hours, and are you learning stuff there from Tech Topics and
we're really, you know, sort of rigid with our diagnostic stuff. You know, if we don't take another places diagnostics, been caught out with that stuff before, but for our initial diagnostic we're £150 including VAT. I think the dealer's like $240 or something. So positioning ourselves around that, it's, you know, miles less for that, and it is just, you know, the car needs a diag, so that's what it is. We'll do that to start with, and then from at that point in time, do we have an answer, or do we need to go back and then explain where we're at to now, and then where we need to go with it potentially for some more time.
And with this current setup, are you happy? Are you content? Are you happy with the profit? Is there more to come? What's down the line?
So I'd like to get the vision. 5 years is another 2 sites. That is the big vision. But there's a garage that we sort of would like to try and hopefully buy over at some point, and then maybe a 3rd site as well. Hopefully, that's the plan. That would be.
And what's driving you to do that?
I don't know. I think just trying to build
It sounds like you've got it pretty good at the minute.
Yeah, I know. It could be absolute craziness, to be honest. My wife thinks it is, to be honest with you. But I like the idea of trying to build something that then, you can sit back on, and it's its own sort of entity, whether or not then somebody comes along and buys it and takes it away from you, or you disrupt the market enough that you become that much of an annoyance that somebody goes, right, just go and get rid of that and buy them.
Imagine if you buy 2 more sites for the next 5 years, you'll be at least 10 years getting to that point where you can sit back and...
Yeah, I know. I think there's definitely some soul searching to be done there. It might well be...
I think it's funny, and we always ask kind of like, why? So is the why then, is it that you want to earn an amount of money from that, or is it time you want, or both?
Yeah, I think time would be great eventually, wouldn't it? But I don't know if the additional sites would give me that as such.
It would take it to begin with.
Yeah.
But you imagine if you had 3 sites like that one.
Yeah.
You can use that money to buy time back.
Yeah.
Basically.
Yeah.
But it's how long is it going to take to get them to that?
On
yeah,
point.
I know. This is the thing. And I think around the time that, Land Rover has obviously had, it's been massive, and that's come in turn with around our sort of growth period. You just hope
quite
that
a lucky brand to fall into, isn't it? Really, because of like the history of it. And
that's it. And again, everybody, it's quite an aspirational vehicle, isn't it? People want them on their driveway and all this sort of stuff. But then, at this moment in time, I don't think I've ever had as many conversations with customers that say that that's it, they're leaving the brand, as I have done in all my time since.
Yeah, but if you look at how many people are coming into the brand, like I said earlier, especially the new Defender and stuff.
Yeah,
I think you need to look at Land Rover registrations year on year rather than people. Moving away from them. But
I mean, Defenders are everywhere, aren't they? They really are everywhere.
And this baby Defender that they're bringing out, I think that'll be massive. I think there'll be loads more to come.
Is that still going to be a commercial vehicle?
I don't know if they're going to offer it as a commercial. You'd like to think so. It should. I mean, they should do
little baby commercial.
Yeah,
but yeah, it's funny. I mean, if someone asked me the question probably 10 months ago about expansion versus now, I've had a tough year of expansion stuff, and I would definitely recommend to sit down with somebody. I mean, we know lots of people in the industry, and we know people that are smashing it and earning a serious amount of money, like probably 5-fold what some garages are.
Yeah.
So if you sat down and say, right, what could we earn from this site with 8 techs, 9 techs, 10 techs, if we really get it right, I would definitely be more in that camp these days than expanding. Just from the fact of trying to find, I think a specialist is one of the hardest ones to scale because you're so reliant on the really, really good people. Yeah. But yeah, but it depends what you want again. And for me, it is about, I've got an amount of money that I want to earn, and I've probably got more realistic than that. My phrase is I've quit the helicopters and the yacht idea. So like, what actually is a good number to earn, and then what does that mean that our lives will look like in 10 years' time? Sitting down with a financial advisor, how much do you put into whatever, whether it's a pension or not? Yeah. But I would definitely recommend to sit down and kind of go, right, we could actually earn that if we focus on this, because I guarantee if you don't focus on it, you'll end up earning less as you spread yourself wider.
Right,
but the thing is, though, that's me and my recent experience. There's still plenty of people out there that have got multi-sites, which are probably doing well. But I definitely feel if you've got... And the other reason is a lot of garages don't have the capacity to expand in their current location. So there's nowhere around, there's no premises, so the only option is to kind of get another site. But if you can have one big site, I think there's a Your Garage episode coming out on Friday. So as this episode's released, it'll be out about a couple of months ago. And it was with Kerr's Tyres. So it's Northern Ireland's fastest growing auto centre. It was an awesome couple of days, and their sites are
like mega store. I think they actually call it like a superstore.
Right.
That's what the branch is called. And we got to sit down with the founder, and I was picking his brain, like, what, you know, amazing chat. And it's towards the end of the video. I recommend you listen to it if you want to expand. His top piece of advice was look at what you've already got before you expand.
Yeah.
And he said, look for expansion within before you look for external.
And the thing is, I was told that and ignored it. and I say this as well, as an entrepreneurial person, you don't really listen.
No.
But I think especially when you're younger, and if you did listen, you wouldn't have started your own business, because people always tell you,
need the
don't do that,
naivety,
don't do that.
Yeah.
So I think that you don't listen, but you definitely do learn by your mistakes.
Yeah.
But they say this, there's a phrase, a smart person learns by somebody else's mistakes.
Yeah.
And yeah, I think there's this, when you
what I'm going to
see
do, Leo, I'm going to
potential.
remind you of this conversation in about a year's time when you're getting that
Yeah,
new
you can be
branch.
surprised. You can be surprised.
So a wise man once told me.
Yeah. Listen to myself.
So anyway, expansions on the cards. Then that's the ambition.
Well, yeah, I think so, but I mean, potentially now, talking to Leo.
No, all I'm saying is like, generally sit down and look at what you could earn, and I'm happy to help you out with that or whatever.
Yeah.
Just reach out to any of us, but because it's not brain science to kind of figure it out.
Yeah.
But there's also the biggest issue is going from a spreadsheet to reality. So in theory, we can do this.
Yeah.
But how are we actually going to turn that into the money in the bank?
You normally
is the
underestimate
thing.
the effort, don't you?
Definitely, and that's why you kind of go like trying to get your efficiency up 2, 3, 4, 5%. It's much easier to go and get them a branch.
Yeah.
So you kind of go,
I mean, I think that definitely, like, if a year or so ago, probably certainly 2 years ago, I thought of even having another garage was just miles away from what I thought would be possible. I think, again, in the community and all the rest of it, you see all these other guys that are out there and they're doing it, and
you want a piece of that pie, don't you? Then
you think, hang on a minute, well, that sounds
There's
like
a
a good
lot
idea.
going on in there. There's a lot of people growing. expanding.
Massive, isn't it? Yeah.
and it is true. It's when you see that you think like, oh, I want to do that. I want to do a bit of that.
But then you just go, why? And I think, actually, I'm not sure why. Then
Yeah.
maybe I need to soul search that a bit.
Yeah.
Right, we're going to have to start to wrap up. 1 hour 10, gone pretty quick.
Yeah.
That's what. And another question is marketing. So throughout all this, have you done much marketing?
No, that's been something that we're starting to really think about now. As mad as that sounds, this far down the line.
Why now? Have you seeing a downturn at
Yeah,
all?
well,
or not?
because we've now got we've added all this extra, even in the last year, we've added an extra couple of techs to the place and than what we had. We are just seeing that we are churning through this work now quicker. We're being a bit more efficient with it and everything else like that. So we are now starting to see the diary opening up, for the potential for, this stands at the moment, we could take bookings in for next week.
Yeah.
So that's
think
been
that's-
something that's...
It seems to be quite a common theme at the minute, and a lot of people I'm speaking to are the same. And I think that the last 3 years have been that kind of good for garages. It's just been bang, bang, bang.
Yeah.
Everyone's got complacent with marketing.
Yeah.
I just feel like this year has definitely been harder. I remember being a bit quiet from like April and May, and you
Yeah.
think, no, I'll be fine because we'll get busier. But even now, we're all right, but we're definitely not as busy as we kind of don't feel as busy as we were a year or two ago.
I can echo that, and from feedback from others as well.
Yeah,
It's definitely been a
well,
thing
that's
this year.
good, Dennis. I was thinking,
Yeah, you start to be like, oh, are we charging too much? Are we not?
Yeah,
Is it a
100%.
bad service? But I think it is. But the thing is, it's not. People kind of, you seek validation when somebody else is a bit quiet. But the thing is, it's what are you going to do about it then? Because it's very easy to go, oh, they're quiet, so it's fine. We'll just wait. But if you keep waiting and waiting,
You need to be intentional, don't you?
yeah, so
Yeah.
I've just putting a massive focus into marketing. Literally only kind of started it last week, but lots of things we're kind of kicking off with, and because we're just definitely been complacent in that.
Yeah. And is there stuff within, that's something that I think I've definitely struggled to see, like automotive specific marketing stuff. Is that stuff out there?
There is, but I think it's just, I mean, I'll happily chat to you about it, but reach out, whatever, but keeping it simple and my personal, again, my own views is don't overcomplicate marketing, keep it simple, stick with a couple of things, because you go from because you're not doing anything, like, oh, I'll do a bit of this, a bit of that, and then you'll spend too much money and go, oh, that's not working, you'll stop again. So
You don't know if it's worked or not.
just stick to a couple of things, have some basic metrics, because everyone gets quite hung up on how do we monitor that and things like that. So
yeah.
But yeah, and again, I'm not no marketing expert, but just doing something, and I think the biggest thing is consistency.
Yes.
we all kind of panic a bit and like, oh, there's something going on, so I'll do this, I'll do that. So
It's all reactive, isn't it? Is that, you know, you need to market when you're busy.
yeah,
Yes.
Don't market when you're quiet.
But I see it now as like build a marketing foundation and kind of keep topping that up, basically.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool. Well, thank you so much for taking the trip down.
Thank you for having me.
Have a safe trip home. Was it 5 hours?
5.5, I think. Yeah. So.
Yeah, nice. Really appreciate it, mate. Glad we
Yes.
finally got it done.
Yeah, I know,
Been
it
on the
hasn't
cards
been-
for on the while. So awesome story. Look forward to see where it goes over the next.
Yeah.
I mean, it's happened so quick.
Yeah.
You might do the same again in the next same period of time.
Who knows? Or die getting there.
Yeah. Hope you enjoyed that. Just a very quick one for the listeners. We have recently set up a community page on Facebook. So if you search for On the Ramp Community, you can join a forum where all of the guests are and lots of people that have been listening. So we get people reach out to us a lot asking us questions. So get in that forum and ask the questions. So thank you for listening, and we'll see you on the next one.